welcome to my creative space. Thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to another Christmas DIY video. Before I start, I want to take this time to thank all of you for all the love that was shown on my last video. I am so blown away and still in shock. I can't believe it. I also want to welcome all my new subscribers to our creative squad. Thank you for being here. I am so excited to share how I created this DIY. So let's get started. For this DIY, I'm taking 2 of these little glittery reindeers as well as these 2 soft white towels from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start by removing the tags from both the reindeer and the towels. And then after I am done doing that, I'm going to start tracing my reindeer on whatever is going to be the back of my reindeer. So basically just make sure that whatever side of the towel you want to show in the front, you don't trace there. I hope that makes sense. And then I took a pencil and then I started tracing my reindeer, and then I left some space in between the reindeer and where I'm actually going to cut, because we will need that to glue that in place. I think I left like a centimeter or to a centimeter and a half of space. And then I took my scissors and then I started cutting my fabric. I got so into it when I was cutting this reindeer that I didn't even realize that I tossed the actual reindeer out and kept the actual leftover fabric. And then I was like, this doesn't look like a reindeer at all. Did I messed up? And then I was like, oh, here it is. But anyway, moving on. Now I'm grabbing my foam board and I'm going to take my glittery reindeer, and I am going to start by tracing that on this piece of foam board. And then I'm gonna trace it in the exact same size, because we are going to need that in a second. And then after I am done tracing this, I took my crafting knife, and this one I got it from the Dollar Tree, but it's not the best crafting knife. It's a little flimsy. I end up having to add tape to be able to hold the little knife in place. But anyway, now I'm taking my glittery reindeer and my fabric and then adding it on top on whatever side I'm going to be using, and then I'm gonna flip it over, and then I'm gonna start adding hot glue on the edges. And I'm gonna do this in sections to make sure that, you know, the glue doesn't dry before I get there. And then that's all I'm gonna do until I finish. To cover up the back of this reindeer where I glued the fabric, here is where the foam board reindeer comes in handy. I am going to glue that to the back so I'm not able to see all that. And I am going to add some hot glue to half of this reindeer. And then I am going to take my foam board reindeer and place it on there. And then after that, I am basically just going to glue the rest of it. With the leftover fabric from the reindeer, I am going to take that and cut a strip off of it. Well, a few strips, because we are going to use that to cover up the part that shows the foam board right there on the edges of this reindeer, to make it look nicer and cleaner and more expensive, if you will. And yeah, so for that I'm just gonna use hot glue and then take my strip and then start gluing it into place by sections. Okay, this little part gave me a little bit of trouble because when I was trying to glue the fabric on there, my fingers were a little bit too chubby for me to like push the fabric in there and like make it look nice. So I end up taking my scissors and then basically just managing the fabric with it. And this was after a few attempts, and I was like, Wendy, why don't you just take the scissors and, you know, manage that with that? But yeah, it ended up working. So just, you know, if you end up doing this, you might want to do something like that. But yeah, then after that I was able to glue that into place and then move on. And when I got to the end and it was time to trim the fabric, I left a little bit of space and then glue half that little piece in half and then glue that down. I thought it would help. I don't know, I think it made a difference, but I don't know. And then after that, I just went back and like checked the edges to make sure that everything was glued down into place fine, and then whatever wasn't, I just added some more hot glue. Okay, so this is going to be an extra step and more so my mess up, but I thought I would include it because maybe it's helpful for somebody. So I needed this to be gold, and for some reason I wasn't thinking, and I got silver. So I ended up removing the glitter off of the antlers, and then I grabbed this paint that I thought it was gonna work, but it didn't, because it was too see-through. It was barely noticeable. So I ended up wiping that off and then taking my little reindeer outside. The problem with this is that I had already put the white fabric on there, which could have been really bad if I got paint on it. But then I just grabbed the paper and added some tape to the head, and then I just slowly and carefully spray painted it. And then after it was spray painted, I added the glittery paint, and then I added that on top for a little bit pop of color, and yeah, it worked. So yay! But it was a very unnecessary step if you ask me. But anyway, that was that. And then now for the next step, I'm taking this piece of wood that I already had on hand, and I am going to drill a hole to fit my little wooden dowel. Those wooden dowels are, you can find them at the Dollar Tree. And basically once I did that, I just added some hot glue in the hole and then put my dowel back in there, and then that was done. Where you see the line, that's where it's going to be cut, the piece of wood. And then after that, I took my gold spray paint and then spray painted that, and then I took my glue gun and glued that into place. And I also took a piece of the foam board that I cut, and I'm going to be using that for support. So as you can see now, I added some hot glue. Here is where I take the piece of foam board and then add a whole lot of glue, and then added that in there right in the middle just to help for stability. And here is how my fox fur reindeers turned out. For this DIY, I'm taking 3 of these wooden crates from the Dollar Tree, and as you can see, mine are gray because I recycled them from a past project. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take my measuring tape and I'm going to figure out how tall I want this to be, and I end up deciding that my side pieces needed to be 2 feet tall. Okay, I might be cheating a little bit because this piece of wood is not from the Dollar Tree, but I did already had it on hand, and I purchased this on Lowe's, and it was like $1.60, like less than $2. So if you cut that in half, which I will because I need two 2 feet tall pieces, it's $1. So yay! Okay, so I'm trying to decide how I want my little boxes to sit, and I decided that I wanted them to be a little bit tilted to the front so they can look like planters. And so I figure where I was going to add glue, which you will see in a second. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I could not figure it out for my life. I don't know, I think the glue was drying way too fast. I don't know, maybe I need something else to glue this in place. I mean, at the end it worked out, but as you can see there, I thought it was fine, and then it came off. So I had to remove the glue that was already on there, add some more, and then put it back on there again. And the way I did it is like I glue it on there diagonally so I could, I guess, use the corners as my guide, but you will see in a second. Like, I figure out where my next box was going to go, and then I figure out the distance between each box, and then after that, I don't know what was wrong with me. I swear it took me a long time to figure this out. I was getting frustrated, but yeah, I end up loving how this looks, but it did give me a little bit of trouble. So look, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm trying to glue it where there is no glue on the box. Oh my gosh, all I can do is laugh now. But at the time I was very frustrated because I was like, why can't I do this? As you can see, I'm adding even more glue there, and then I'm like, oh, it looks weird, like it doesn't look like the one at the bottom. So I took it off, and then I was like, oh, there's the glue, that's where it's supposed to be. So I put it on there, but then by the time I glue it there, the glue was dried, so I had to take it off again, remove the glue, and glue it again. See what I'm doing again? Like, you would think that I would learn my lesson on the second one, but I didn't. But anyway, now this next piece was a little bit of trouble again. Again, I think that the problem was that the glue was drying way too fast, and so I added the glue to all the boxes and then put my the wood that is going to hold my boxes together, and then I was like, oh, this was easy. And then I sit it down and look at that, the wood fell off. I was like, I cannot figure this out for my life. But anyway, so I just basically had to remove the dry glue under and then put some more glue under. And then what it ended up working out, as you will see in a second, after me trying to figure out what was wrong, I just added glue to the top box first and then make sure that that one was safe, and then started adding glue to the other boxes, and then just added glue on the back of it because I could not figure it out. I don't know what was wrong with this wood. It's probably because it's wood and it's not supposed to be glue with hot glue. But again, I ended up adding a lot of glue and it ended up working out, and I moved on. And now I took it outside and just spray painted with my white paint that I got from Walmart. And then after a few coats, it was ready and dry to go. I added some floral foam inside. This floral foam, as you can see, has seen better days. I recycle it from other projects because why not? But it is from the Dollar Tree. And so after I added that, I added some reindeer moss and I added it to all my little boxes. And then after that, I took this greenery right here, these ones. Oh my gosh, I was so happy. I don't know if you remember, I mentioned on my last video that I was so excited with that little frosted greenery. I found more, so I got a lot of it. I'm so excited. But anyway, so as you can see, I cut a few pieces and I started adding it to my boxes. And basically here is going to be your preference. I love how this turned out. I don't know, I just like this greenery so much, and I am so happy that the Dollar Tree carries this now, because I remember going last year and the greenery last year wasn't as good as this one. And now I took these white berries that I thought I was gonna like, but they were a little bit more yellow than what I wanted them to be, so I added them as well as that. Anyway, by the way, that white frosted branch is from Walmart and it was 99 cents. And anyway, I put the little white berries, and I didn't like them because they were yellow, or they looked yellow, maybe because of the box. I don't know what was wrong with them, but I ended up taking those off. And then as you can see now, like, I thought I was done, but then I was like, no, I don't like it, so I'm gonna take it off. And then I switched them for these gold ones that I already had on hand, and they are from the Dollar Tree, so I just added those in the middle, and then I liked it a lot more. Here is the end result. I think this turned out super cute and it looks very high-end. Let me know what you think. For this DIY, I stepped outside and I picked up a lot of twigs because those are going to be the start of this show. But yeah, let's move on. Alright, now I'm taking a piece of this jute rope and my pencil, and I'm going to tie it together, and that is going to be to help me create a circle. And the reason why is because, yes, I could have used a wire wreath from the Dollar Tree, but they are not big enough, or they were not big enough for me. I wanted it to be a little bit bigger, and that's why I did this, to help me guide when creating my wreath. And then once I had that my circle down, I started piling up my branches or my twigs, and no specific way, I just started adding them on top of each other. And then I was so happy I realized this here. I started adding my strings that are going to help me tie all the little branches in place. And yeah, I just felt like if I would have figured that out later, it would have been a little bit messy because they were already piled together. I don't know, but anyway, so I just added a bunch of strings all around my soon-to-be wreath, and yeah, and then I just continued to add the rest of the twigs. Once I was happy with the thickness of my wreath, I started tying all the jute rope that I added. I did end up adding some more jute rope where I thought I needed it. After that, I took this wire garland that has the gold berries on it, and I am going to use that to help me give my wreath a little bit more support. So I just started basically wrapping it around, and I wish I would have had one more of these because I didn't have enough, but you'll see in a second how I fix that. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna do, just tie it around my wreath. On the remainder of this wreath that didn't get covered with the wire, I took my jute rope and basically just wrapped it around. And the reason why I didn't want to do this on the whole wreath is because the jute rope is a little bit lighter than the pieces of the twigs, and I did this on the side that my greenery is going to go, so it's going to get covered anyway, so I didn't mind that I had to wrap it a lot. And also I picked this side because this side was a little bit skinnier than the rest of it for some reason. But anyway, now I'm just getting rid of all the extra pieces of jute where I tied my branches together. And then I took my glue gun, my trusty glue gun, and added a lot of hot glue around my wreath. And I only did this to the part that is going to be the back of my wreath, and then once I was done, I flipped it over, and that's what is going to be the front of it. To decorate my wreath, I'm going to take this greenery from the Dollar Tree, and I was so happy I found this. There's this Dollar Tree that I usually don't go to, but I probably should go there because it's always stocked, and I don't know, my local one is always out of stuff. So now that I found it, I am going to keep going there for stuff for my DIYs, and I'm so excited. But anyway, so I'm taking the frosted fern or the flocked fern, and I cut 2 pieces off because I don't know, I just thought that it would be better this way because I couldn't slide them down because the frosted on there is going to fall off. So I just took them off and then adjusted them on the wreath. And as you can see, I'm just trying to see how everything is going to go, and this is the way that my greenery is going to be placed on there. And I did the exact same thing on the other side just to make sure that it's going to look good. And then once that was done, I started gluing my pieces together. And so I'm going to start with this darker green one that is frosted and has a little bit of glitter. I just love this. I loved it so much. And then after that, I am going to just add a lot of hot glue to make sure that it's going to stay safe. And then I'm gonna take a piece of jute rope, and I'm also going to tie it under because this wreath is going to go outside on my front door, and you know, I want it to be weatherproof. And so now I'm going to take my fern and I'm going to glue that into place as well. And now I'm just going to let you watch because I'm going to be doing the exact same thing until I am done. Okay, this bow is being recycled from a past fall project, and this piece of fabric, I don't know if you remember, I think it was like 2 videos ago that I used this fabric. I already had it on hand, but I know that the Dollar Tree does sell ribbon now, and they are buffalo check, and then they also have these really cool bows in store. I just didn't pick one up because I already have one on hand. I will insert a picture right now. And now that my bow is ready to go, I'm going to take my wreath and I am going to glue this bow onto place, and I'm just going to add some hot glue on it and then just adjust it how I want this to sit. And yeah. As the last step, I am going to take a piece of jute rope and I am going to tie that on the back of it and create a hanger. I'm also going to be adding some hot glue to where I created the knot just to make sure that it doesn't come undone and it's going to be secured. And so yeah, that's all I did for mine. I hope this is helpful to you, and let me know what you think of this twig wreath. I love how it turns out. I loved it. It's one of my favorite DIYs. Okay, I might be cheating a little bit on this one again because I already had this piece of wood on hand. It was a scrap of piece of wood that I had in my garage, and I just cut it to the size I needed it to be, and then I took it outside and tried to spray paint it, but then I realized that I was gonna use a lot of spray paint, and also I was not spraying it on there evenly anyway, so I only gave it one coat of it, and then I took it inside and used my white chalk paint that I got from Hobby Lobby. I wanted to add a quick note regarding the piece of wood. I know not everybody's gonna have a random piece of wood just laying around, but I wanted to let you know that you could also easily recreate this using a piece of foam board. I think it will look great. I've done it in so many of my other DIYs. Once I'm done painting it, I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna take 2 of these boxes of Christmas lights and add some batteries to them. Once I'm done doing that, I'm gonna put those to the side for now, and once my paint is completely dry, I'm gonna take this other piece of wood and I am going to start creating a shiplap effect using this marker, and I'm just going to create some lines. I took this really cute sign from the Dollar Tree that says Merry and Bright, which came perfect for this project, and then I'm going to take my black chalkboard paint from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to paint my words black. It is the time to put all our pieces together, and let me tell you, I am so proud of this sign. It came exactly how I envisioned it. I am so happy with this sign. I think it's so beautiful, and I think it looks very high-end. I don't know, you let me know in the comments down below. Now all I'm gonna do is just figure out exactly where my words are going to sit to make sure that they're going to be in the middle, and then I'm gonna add some hot glue to them and then glue them in place. By the way, fun fact, do you see my finger, how I have the band-aids on there? Yes, I had a little accident and I blame the boxes for giving me so much trouble because I was trying to remove the glue off of them after so many attempts on gluing them into place, and I thought it was a great idea to grab my crafting knife and do that. And let me tell you, don't do it. You don't want to cut your finger, and if you happen to do it, just be careful. Don't cut your finger like I did. But anyway, that was just, you know, accidents happen when you're crafting. But anyway, moving back to the tutorial or the DIY, I am just going to secure the Christmas lights in place with some hot glue. And honestly, that's all I'm gonna do now. I'm just adding some hot glue to all the Christmas lights, and I will be doing the exact same thing at the bottom. And I decided to leave the boxes on one on each side. I hope that makes sense. Like you can see here when I flipped it over, the boxes are on one on each side. I don't know if that's good or not, but that's what I decided to do for mine. And I also took this piece of jute rope to create a hanger, and I glued the ends to the back of it. And then I had this staple gun on hand, so I thought I would use it. And then I do own a hammer, but I don't know why I thought scissors were a great idea, which they didn't really do anything, but okay. And then these boxes were already glued in place, but then I decided to take them off because I wanted them closer to the edge, so it's easy for me to turn on and off my Christmas lights. So now I'm going to glue them back into place. I also added some hot glue to the Christmas light cord just to make sure that it wasn't going to be showing at all once I hang this on the wall. And then I glued my boxes in place and they were good to go. Here is what the end result looks like. I love this sign. It's one of my favorites, like I said. Let me know in the comments down below which one is your favorite DIY, which one you're going to be recreating. Also, don't forget to subscribe and give my video a thumbs up, and I will see you on my next DIY. Bye!